Would you date someone who drives a Tesla? What about someone who supports the right to choose or the right to life? Would you want your significant other wearing a red Make America Great Again hat? Or how about somebody who's got a Biden-Harris bumper sticker on their car or a Brat bumper sticker? Those are the political hurdles that many are facing trying to date in today's polarizing world, and no one better to talk about it than Kat Markiewicz. She is a matchmaker with 3-Day Rule. She's here to help us to navigate the difficult road of dating in today's political climate, and nowhere more difficult or polarizing than Washington, D.C. Kat, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to chat about this.
I want to open with the words that are so often attributed to President Henry Truman. If you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. But obviously, some people want significant others too. In the months since the election, have you noticed any shifts in dating trends here?
Absolutely. So I do matchmaking in Washington, D.C., but in a variety of other cities as well. And I can say in D.C. more than any place, we're just seeing so much frustration and anger and sadness and just the general polarization. I think people that are looking for a long-term relationship are really struggling. They're seeing that there's kind of no middle ground. There's just so much extreme. And so I'm hearing from people more than ever, deal breakers around, I could never date a Republican. I could never date a liberal. And as a matchmaker, it makes me kind of sad, but I have to make sure that people's, kind of major outlooks do align. And so this is a tough time to be single.
I don't want you to reveal any names, obviously attorney-client privilege. Let's treat this as the witness protection program. But what are the recent deal breakers for singles that you've noticed? Do you have any stories that you could potentially share with us here without, of course, incriminating your clients?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm definitely hearing more than ever, people will say, I could never date a Trump supporter. I could never date someone who voted for Trump. But the most recent thing I've seen that just kind of boggles my mind is people saying, I could never date someone who drives a Tesla, or I could never date someone with a Cybertruck. And that's especially funny to me just because, a couple of years ago, someone who had a Tesla was probably on the more liberal side. It's just kind of come to represent so much more now with Elon Musk and Doge and all of that. So I'm certainly seeing for some of my clients, these are successful individuals who maybe they do drive like the newest Tesla. And they're finding that for many of them, people are just dismissing them outright as a potential partner simply because of the car they drive. So that's been just especially crazy lately. It's also interesting, I've noticed, with a lot of the liberal women I talk to, they'll say, oh, I could never date a Trump supporter. But then when I talk to Trump supporters, they'll say, I could never date someone who villainizes me for being a Trump supporter. I just find the language there very interesting, like the kind of nuance. And I'm not here to do a whole political analysis on that. I need to stay neutral, but I just find it interesting how people kind of feel they are being perceived as potential partners for their political outlook.
Well, what does your intake form look like now? I mean, I can't presume a couple years ago you were asking someone, and what type of car do you drive?
Exactly. No, it's so funny. So our intake form really hasn't changed, but we get to know everyone on a very personal level. We do in-depth interviews. I'm usually chatting with someone for, 45 minutes to an hour to really get to know them and decide, are they a good match for one of my clients? And I do ask them, I really kind of probe deeper than I ever have around politics and their affiliation and, kind of what they grew up with. I do talk to a lot of people who, maybe they saw that their parents voted differently and that worked for them. And so they'll say, well, I'm liberal, but maybe I could date a Trump supporter. It's, I've seen it work for my parents. But then other people say this could never work. I need someone whose political views absolutely align with mine.
Okay, if you're looking for a Mr. or Mrs. Right, how realistic, though, is it to set some of those boundaries? I mean, where should folks be compromising? The age-old question, should you settle?
Well, I always tell people to be flexible and to be open-minded. I don't think you should settle, but you can settle down, and there are ways to get there. So, in terms of kind of boundaries for dating, I think you want to sort of state where you fall on the spectrum if it's very important to you. But if you feel like you could be with someone who really checks every box except for maybe the political alignment, stay open. Maybe don't state that first thing on your dating app profile. You just never know. You can meet an amazing person whose political views don't align with yours today, but they could kind of come back around. We just have no idea where it's going to go over the years. So I think that's important. Also, in DC, I know this is so hard, but work-life balance is crucial, and being able to kind of put work and any sort of political association behind you when you walk in the door at the end of the day, just kind of keeping things a little bit separate, that can make for a more successful relationship.
All right, any suggestions for those folks who are suffering from swipe fatigue, or maybe holding out the hope of, oh, maybe I'll meet someone organically in a bar? What do you tell them? What are your pointers?
I definitely think you can meet somebody in a bar today. That's a great place to start. So definitely, stop swiping if it's not working for you. You don't have to be on every app. Kind of going back to what I was saying before, stay open-minded. Someone who's shorter than you envisioned might be a great fit for you. Somebody with a different background than you imagined for you might end up being a great match. Really aim for those in real life connections. Join the kickball league, go to a trivia night, talk to someone who you find attractive in a coffee shop. You just never know where you're going to meet Mr. or Mrs. Right. Really take advantage of all that DC has to offer. We have such an amazing city here, and we have great events. We have museums. We have outdoor patios and bars, and actually the weather is nicer than it's ever been. So really take advantage of all of that. And this is a big one for people in DC, but make time for dating, prioritize dating. If you are serious about finding a relationship, don't be flaky. Don't just have a pen pal and text back and forth. Set a date, stick with the date, follow through. Maybe even adjust your travel schedule a little bit if you can to make time for meeting new people. And if you're really intentional about it, hire a matchmaker. We can do all the dirty work for you and help you find your person.
In the last 15 seconds or so, what is the 3-day rule, just quickly?
Oh, absolutely. So the 3-day rule was this kind of outdated idea that after a date with somebody, you should wait 3 days to get in touch with them so you didn't seem overeager. But our outlook is like all of that kind of goes out the window with modern dating, and you really need a matchmaker by your side to navigate all the trials and tribulations that come with finding a relationship today.
Kat Markiewicz with 3-day rule. Thank you for your time and your insight on this, and good luck out there to you and all your clients.
Thank you. Have a good one.